Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're tackling one of the biggest conversations in tech right now. How do we actually make AI safe? It's not just about making AI powerful, right? It's got to be responsible. We're going to walk through a blueprint for how to build AI that is ethical and trustworthy, right from the very beginning. So let's just get right to the heart of it with this one big question. How do we stop AI from causing accidental harm? And that word accidental is key here. Look, we're not talking about some sci-fi movie Terminator stuff. We're talking about real-world systems, often with the best intentions behind them that can still cause some pretty serious problems. And that leads us directly to the core problem here, AI's unintended dangers. Because the simple truth is, when it comes to this technology, good intentions are just not enough. You need a plan.
And this is a really important thing to get our heads around. The harm we see from AI systems, it almost never comes from someone deliberately trying to do something bad. Think about it. Most developers and data scientists are trying to solve real problems and build cool, useful things. The ethical messes we run into are almost always unforeseen side effects.
So how does this even happen? Well, it usually comes down to one of three things. First, you've got misuse. That's when a system built for one thing gets used for something totally different, often with really bad results. Second, there's questionable design. This is the technical stuff, where things like algorithmic bias slip in because they weren't on the radar during development. And finally, there are the unintended consequences. This is what happens when you don't fully think through the ripple effects a system might have on actual people and their communities. Okay, so if just hoping for the best is a terrible strategy, what's the alternative? Well, that's where we get a real blueprint for responsibility. This is all about moving from just wishing for a good outcome to having a concrete, structured plan to actually achieve it. And this is great because it lays out the plan perfectly. Think of it like building a house. You need a solid foundation, which is your framework of ethical values. Then you build the structure on top of that with a set of actionable principles. And finally, you wrap the whole thing in a governance framework to make sure it's all built to code. So let's break that down. All right, first things first, the values. This is the foundation. Before you write a single line of code, you have to figure out the why. What are the core human values that are going to guide this whole project? And these are called the SUM values. This is like the moral compass for the entire project, you know? It's the standard you measure every single decision against. And what I love about this is how it's all about people, not code. It starts with respect, just upholding the basic dignity of every single person. Then it's about the need to connect, to engage with people openly and include everyone. Then there's care, a real commitment to looking after people's well-being. And finally, a duty to protect, justice and the public good. This is the bedrock you build everything else on. Okay, so we've got our why, our core values. Now, how do we actually do it? How do we turn those big ideas into a real safe AI system that actually works? And that's where these FAST truck principles come into play. So if SUM is the philosophy, FAST is the playbook. It's the set of rules that developers can actually grab onto and use every day. First up is fairness. And I want you to really notice the wording here, a minimum level of discriminatory non-harm. See, this isn't just some fluffy goal. It's a direct order. You have to actively design your system to not cause discriminatory harm. That requires a really deep methodical approach. So what does that actually mean in practice? Well, it means you have to be thinking about fairness at every single step. It starts with your data. Is it fair and equitable? Then you've got the design itself. After that, you have to check the outcomes. Are they creating discriminatory results? And finally, you have to look at how the system is actually implemented in the real world. You can't just drop the ball at any of those stages. But of course, to make sure all that stuff actually happens, you need the second principle, accountability. And this is just so important. Because let's be real, you can't sue an algorithm. You can't hold a piece of code responsible when things go wrong. That's why there has to be a clear, unbroken chain of human responsibility for every part of the system. Now, that accountability isn't just about ethics, it's also about the tech itself. And that brings us to sustainability. And just to be super clear, we're not talking about green energy or anything like that. In this world, sustainability is all about technical endurance. Is the system safe? Is it reliable and secure? Is it robust enough to last? A system that's fragile or insecure isn't a responsible one. All right, and this last one, transparency, is kind of the glue that holds everything else together. I mean, think about it. How can you have fairness or accountability if the whole thing is just a black box? Transparency isn't just about showing your code. It's about being able to actually explain to people why the AI made the decision it did and justify that the outcome was ethical and fair.
Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. We've got our values, we've got our principles, but why does this blueprint matter so much? Well, because the end goal isn't just to make AI that works, it's to build AI that we can actually trust. You see, when you use a blueprint like this, you're doing more than just ticking off items on a list. You're building a whole culture of responsible innovation. Every single project gets measured against these goals. Is it ethically okay to do this? Is it fair? Is it good enough to earn the public's trust? And finally, can we actually stand behind its decisions and justify them? And this quote really just nails the point home perfectly. You have to prioritize transparency. You have to prioritize being able to justify and interpret the decisions your model makes. Trust isn't something you get for free. It has to be earned through this kind of deliberate, open work.
And that leaves us with one last big question to chew on. Even if you have the perfect blueprint, things can still go wrong. So when an AI makes a mistake, who is ultimately responsible? Is it the developer who wrote the code, the company that used it, the person who followed its suggestion? This blueprint gives us the tools for accountability for sure. But that ultimate question, who's responsible when the AI gets it wrong? That's maybe one of the biggest challenges we face in this new era. And it's one we're all going to have to figure out together.